Yo, what is up, Village? It is your friend, your homie, Damien Howard, here with another episode of Village Talks. I get so fascinated by the opportunity through this podcast to meet people all over the nation. And eventually, I feel like this is going to be a worldwide thing, whereas we have an opportunity to talk to folks who care about the well being of young people. My friend Christopher, who you all are going to meet in a moment, came to this work from a really non-traditional path. For me, I always knew that I was going to be a mentor figure in the lives of young people, which led me to become an educator, and now I'm an entrepreneur, if you will, still trying to position myself to impact positive change for young people. However, Christopher, when he moved to the area that he lives in, namely in the San Diego area, he'll talk about it in a moment. It was as a person working for a tech company, but him at that tech company, already oriented as a person who is a change agent and wants to impact positive change where he finds himself. He got a little, right? And all of us who are familiar with Big Brothers Big Sister knows that language of littles, right? These are mentees, young people within the regional area, within the local area, I should say, who have raised their hand or their parents raised their hand and they're open to being mentored by bigs. Christopher has experience as a big, and he now finds himself as the manager of partnerships and outreach for Big Brothers Big Sisters in San Diego County. Christopher, say what's up to folks.
How's it going, Village?
Yeah, no, like, yeah, so just go ahead, introduce yourself. We would love to just learn more about who you are, Christopher.
Sounds great. And appreciate you for having me on the podcast, Amy. So my name is Christopher, and I manage partnerships and outreach at Big Brothers Big Sisters of San Diego County. I came to San Diego about 7 years ago and just knew I wanted to be in San Diego. And so took a job selling software and wasn't super fulfilling for me at the time. And so I signed up to be a big. I just Googled how to volunteer in San Diego, and the thing that stuck out to me was being a big. And so I became a big right when I moved to San Diego and got a little. His name was Jaden and mentored him for about 6 years. And about 5 years into my career at San Diego, was in tech sales and tech partnerships. Just wanted to do more than just to be a big, just to do something more than twice a month, really try to make an impact on a consistent basis. And right when I was looking for a new job, Big Brothers Big Sisters had a job that was perfect. It was pretty much selling people on what it's like to be a volunteer. And I had that background experience already in sales and um, had the experience, had the learned kind of impact of what it's like to be a big. And so joined Big Brothers Big Sisters full time about 2 years ago, and it's been a wonderful experience since then. And I've just gotten to see a lot of people really become a mentor, make an impact, come to me, one meeting, just learn more about the program, and a year later, maybe at like a recognition event or something, just be really excited to tell me about how their experience has been. So it's been a wonderful experience, and glad I joined this when I did.
Christopher, you would not be surprised, and you've probably even heard this during your time on Earth and in your role, that many people don't consider themselves as salespersons, right? And even when you are introducing yourself to certain people, talking about your experience, talking about what you're doing, I would imagine folks are like, oh, I would never want to do that, have to be vulnerable and talk to people and convince them of certain things. But that is, in fact, what you do. So I'm just curious, what do you think uniquely enables you to have that type of demeanor and disposition that affords you to be successful in what you do? And I'm asking this question, Christopher, because I am trying to do a better job. That if we're going to take 20 or so minutes to have these conversations, yes, I want people to feel all the good and amazing feelings that I feel in meeting new people, but what are some take homes, right, that we can give people? And right now, as somebody who's good with communication, somebody who's good with convincing people of doing great things that impact positive change for communities, give us some of your secret sauce. Bring us in on that.
Yeah, so one of the biggest things that I learned really early on in my career was just not being afraid of rejection. And so I was an entry-level salesperson, and we were making maybe 100 calls a day, and people would hang up the phone, yell at you, call you not nice names. And eventually that makes you tougher, right? It builds your skin up a little bit. And so now when I'm in this place of not just selling a software, but selling something I'm actually passionate about, people are just way more receptive. And even the people that are not interested in being a big, pretty much everyone is on board with the program, even if they don't want to do it themselves, right? And that's just something huge to know, right? And so when people are looking to mentor, when people are, trying to pitch something that's ultimately going to be for the better good, just have that in the back of your mind of even if this person might not make a great volunteer for you, 99% of the time they're going to love your mission.
What do you think, Christopher, it is about our wiring or psychology that oftentimes we have such fear of rejection or of being told no? And I want to dive a little bit deeper into this with my questioning here. One, because I know that you have an area or an aspect of expertise, but then also because I know how big this has been for me personally. And as I imagine it might be for my village and folks that are going to see this as you all repurpose this. But like, how do we crack that, bro? Like, what is it about, again, the human nature and our buildup that makes us so fretful of rejection?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And I think a lot of times, especially men, always try to bootstrap everything on their own, right? And so it's trying to, make the sale on their own or get the new career on their own. And one thing I've learned over the last 7 years, and especially over the last 2 years, is you need somebody in your corner, right? And I think when you realize that you need somebody in your corner, generally that person's going to be a mentor, even if it's not in an official capacity. They're gonna mentor you in some way, whether that's career-wise or just general life wise. And so I would say somebody that's maybe nervous about, how can I get the sale? How can I do the thing? Find somebody that's done the thing and learn from them. Right. And so even when we look at Big Brothers, Big Sisters, it's let's impart our knowledge that we've learned, right? Like, I don't want somebody else making the same mistakes I did. I don't want them to have to go through the trenches. And obviously, my hope would be that I could tell them what I went through and they could just learn from that without actually having to get, a little muddy in the process.
Christopher, you present, at least to me, as a really great communicator. And in a moment, I am going to be desirous to learn more about how your communication skills and how you show up has been fruitful to Jaden. If you've been with Jaden over, it sounds like over 5 or even over 6 years, yeah, would love to just inquire a little bit more there about that relationship of a big to a little. Fascinated to learn more there. But before we go there, I'm curious, Christopher, is there a practice or an activity that you do with some sense of regularity, even on a daily basis? Do you have affirmations an affirmation practice, I should say, that you go through on a daily basis or with some type of frequency or anything like that?
No, I would say nothing in terms of an affirmation. Personally, I have a great community, and so that always makes me feel super confident. And just having a group of men surrounding me that I meet with once a week has been really impactful for me. And so I think community is super important, and also something we're trying to build at Big Brothers Big Sisters.
It's very helpful for you to say that in that way without me having to prompt you, because basically what you're doing right now is you are validating the whole concept of this podcast, right?
Yeah.
That old African proverb that it takes a village to raise our children. Well, to be real, it takes a village in order for us that are trying to do innovative things in the world and show up and do things that we have never done before to get that encouragement, to get that boost, that pat on the back. So for you kind of coming not only to affirm that through what you're saying, but exemplify that and personify that with the way that you show up, I think it's pretty dope, man. So
Thank
now,
you.
Jaden. So
Yeah.
yeah, with Jaden, here's one specific question that I have for you. As a young person navigating life, and I didn't hear you say exactly when you started working with Jaden, but especially around middle school years and even beyond that, Jaden has experienced many instances whereas he has had to learn that you're going to get some no's, there's going to be some rejections. It might have been a time where, Jaden started going through puberty and his little girls that he was looking at, and it's just like Jaden, every one of them isn't going to say yes to you. You understand? And you got to know how to have those social and emotional competencies to navigate that well. So talk to us a little bit about just that relationship and what's that meant, and specifically when it comes to you helping him to navigate rejection. Have there been instances where you've had to help him in that way?
Yeah, so I think one of the things is that while communication, right now for me and Jaden, right, we've been matched 6 years, is awesome. But in the beginning, it wasn't, right? And so it took some time to ultimately kind of foster that relationship, right? And so I would also encourage people like if they are mentoring or they're currently being mentored, right? Sometimes it does take a minute for that to just kind of naturally flow. And I think one of the biggest things in terms of just kind of facing rejection for Jaden, he's a smooth kid, so I would say less rejection on the girl side. But with jobs, so he was applying for jobs and just really wanting a job, kind of at a younger age, and just it was hard, right? A lot of businesses want to hire someone with experience, and that's hard to do when you don't have experience. And so one of the things we kind of practiced also was just shooting your shot in multiple places, right? And so he ended up applying for, a bunch of different jobs and got one at a young age, which I was super proud of. And I think just seeing that, right, at such a young age, I think will impact him, right? Because we're throughout our whole lives are going to apply for something and not get it. And so to learn that at a young age, and still have someone in your corner, I think was a really big moment for him.
Let's go beyond Jaden. What are some of those narratives of littles being impacted by bigs that are right there at the forefront of your mind? Those stories as you all have your galas, as far as in the San Diego County, how Big Brothers Big Sisters is changing lives. Introduce us into some of that.
Yeah, so the biggest thing for me, I would say that always I go back to is usually the high school graduation rate. And so when we look at, what some of these kids have gone through or the challenges that they might be facing in their day to day, statistically, they are less likely to graduate high school than their peers. But when we look at bigs in our program, sorry, littles in our program, they are more likely to graduate high school than their peers. And so we see that's just a huge impact that someone is there with them throughout the challenges that they're facing. And so as opposed to, again, especially younger men or boys trying to feel like they have to bootstrap everything on their own, they now have a trusted adult in their corner. And I remember again, going back to Jaden, when he was struggling with school or something, even just having somebody to talk to and having a person in your corner to be like, hey, I know this is tough. This might be a subject that's tough for you, but that doesn't mean you need to fail at this subject, right? You might need to work a little bit harder than some people in this subject or in this topic. Like I know science didn't come naturally to me. It didn't come naturally to my little either. And that's something that we both had to work a little bit harder at, but then we were able to get it. And I think when you talk to somebody, when you can meet with somebody, when you can know somebody and they can say, hey, I know this is a little tougher, you don't need to fail. You can still win at this. It might be harder for you to win than for somebody else to win, but you can still win. And I think that's a huge part of not just my relationship, but of Big Brothers Big Sisters as a whole.
Biology, it was all right. Chemistry was cool. Bro, physics was a whole different type of beast. So I resonate with a lot of what you were saying there, and not just science not being a strong suit for me when I was in high school. So, man, just this whole concept of village, right? You're using language of community. In my mind, I would say it's synonymous with how I talk about village. In San Diego County, I wonder how you all are tapping into the power of collaboration or camaraderie with other agencies to kind of support the wraparound services or holistic care for littles and their families?
Yeah, so great question. So one thing that we're looking to actually launch soon is going to be kind of a mentorship conference in San Diego County. And so that's still pretty early on in terms of, media and stuff being released on that. But our hope is really, and we have worked with some organizations for sure, Boys and Girls Club being one of them. And so we have worked with organizations, but we want to do more with other organizations, right? And realizing also that someone might not be the best mentor for our program, specifically if they maybe want to do group mentoring, right? That's something we don't currently offer. Maybe they feel more comfortable in a group setting. They could still be a great mentor, just might be with a different organization.
Yeah, yeah. No, totally makes sense. And I hear all of that, and it's encouraging to hear that you all have a willingness to say, we're not just going to be, isolated and just be thinking about what's good for us, but what's good for these young people. And even if that means that it's outside of the auspices of BBBS, I think I gave enough B's right there. We're open to considering that. So man, that's pretty dope. Now, we are at the part of our segment, Christopher, whereas I imaginatively and metaphorically am giving you a wand here. And with said wand, you now possess magical powers to impact positive change in any way that you desire. As you think of littles, as you think of bigs, as you think of your county, how are you going to wield that wand to impact the change that you imagine in your mind?
Yeah, so if I had a magic wand and could make any change, it's a simple change, but I think it would take a lot of magic to do it. And it would really just be getting more men to want to volunteer. And so I would say if it was super magic, right, we'd say every man in San Diego County to volunteer. And we don't even need every man in San Diego County to volunteer with Big Brothers Big Sisters, but just men wanting to volunteer, right? We see that as the biggest need that we have and the biggest need that other organizations have is that men just need to ultimately step up more for their community, right? And that's what we're really needing. And so if there was a magic wand, I'm sure that would help more than just Big Brothers Big Sisters. It would probably help thousands of, nonprofits in San Diego. But just really having more men feel this sense of community, feeling the sense of wanting to give back. And our hope is that people want to give back because they've had a mentor in their life that has been impactful, that has made a difference for them. Maybe it wasn't a formal mentor, but just that they would want to, pass it forward.
What do you think the complication or difficulty is there that's unique to men when it comes to them being bigs?
That's a great question. One of the biggest things we see in terms of questions that people ask or are unsure of is how am I going to hang out with a little or what am I going to do? Right. And they think oftentimes that it's going to be math homework all the time or, these tough questions all the time. When really what the program is a lot of times you're just hanging out with a kid, whether that's getting a taco or throwing around a football. We got a bunch of good taco shops in San Diego, so that was always me and my littles go-to. But I think just people not knowing what to do, being one of them. And then the second part of people thinking that they wouldn't make a good mentor. Oh, I've never been a big brother in real life. Oh, I'm not a successful entrepreneur that's done this for 30 years. I'm still trying to figure it out on my own. And what we see is that all we really need is adult who can, hit a few requirements and then really just be stable and consistent. And so that's really the biggest thing for us. You don't need a ton of background experience. I signed up for this program. I think I was 24 years old and living in a beach town and just loving the beach. Didn't have a settled career or anything like that, but I knew I wanted to make an impact and I was stable and consistent. And that's really all we need is someone who's going to be stable and consistent.
That's powerful. Powerful, powerful, powerful. Kudos to you. And it just seems like, your generation is more so wired to think about making my life matter and being engaged in things that bring value beyond just a paycheck. And super dope, right? For you to even say, man, I'm even willing to make some financial sacrifices as far as what industry I'm willing to go into based on my heartfelt commitment that I want my life to matter. So I just know that this episode is gonna just go over so well for our viewing audience, not just some of the nuggets or teachable insights that were shared, but just your story, man. It's so powerful. Now, we are going to go to San Diego. You are literally there. I'm not literally there, but we're still going to go together there. So you got to remind me first, what is that area of San Diego whereby it's like old San Diego, if you know
Old
what I'm saying?
Town?
That's it. Okay, so we got Old Town, we got Little
Yep.
Italy, right? And then I think if you keep going, is it west or east Gaslight?
Gaslamp.
Gas Lamp. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that west or east of Little Italy?
Oof.
It's just right past it.
That is very close to Little
Yeah,
Italy. It's like right next door. Yeah.
you see
It
what
could
I'm
be
doing?
both. Yeah.
I went to from Old Town. I kept going this way. Then we
Yeah.
got
You were
to
going east. I think we're going east. I think we're
okay,
going.
okay. And then we got to Gas Lamp. Out of those three, since we talked about tacos earlier, which of those areas has the best food? And I won't limit it to tacos, but where do you like to spend your time? Where would you take Jaden if you had an option of going to a restaurant in any of those three areas to put him on to the best that San Diego has to offer?
Yeah. So I would say out of all those places, I would go to Old Town. And I think it's called Coyote Cafe. And they have people that actually make fresh tortillas outside. And so if you walk around Old Town enough, you only need to go a few blocks. You'll start smelling tortillas. That's where to go. And it's a great place. They make everything super fresh. They have live music sometimes, and it's a really good time.
Man, that's super cool. And this session has been amazingly just refreshing for me. So, Christopher, thank you for how you showed up here for Village Talks. And thank you for the ways that you keep showing up for Jaden and every big and every little that you come in contact with. All right. Before we head out and before we totally land this plane, what I would ask for you to do, Christopher, is if we missed anything, if there's anything in particular that you would want to call out, if there are aspects of just you helping us to understand where we might find you to learn more, or if we want to connect, any and all of that, this is kind of like the final space for you to share whatever concluding thoughts you have. But what I would want to call out specifically is if there's like one last kind of nugget, even if you just feel it really like in a deep place inside of you, and you want to drop a bomb instead of dropping a nugget, do you, brother? Like at the end of this, you have the floor. Whatever it is you want to share at the end of this, I want to give you that space.
For sure. And appreciate that, Damon. And so I would say to wrap it all up, in San Diego County, we need more men to volunteer. In the other regard, we also we have the capacity to help more what we call little sisters to actually get a mentor. And so if you're looking at, do I have the time to be a mentor? Do I not have the time? Am I good enough? All of these things. You are good enough if you're going to be stable and consistent, and you only need about 4 hours a month. And I know personally that before joining Big Brothers Big Sisters, I was definitely squandering at least 4 hours a month. And so if you look at your schedule, sometimes you might have to move a few things around, but usually most people can make it work. And my experience has been awesome, and I really feel like I have added a new person to my family in terms of being a big. We talked about a little bit about how the graduation rates are higher. Jaden was the first person in his family to graduate high school on time. I got to be part of his high school graduation. There was a family photo that I wasn't going to be in because I'm not officially family, and his mom said, "You better get in this photo." And so there's a really cool photo of us, and it was just a wonderful experience. And so I encourage people to do it. I don't just encourage people to do it because it's my job. I encourage people to do it because it made a real impact on my life as well as Jaden's life. And if you want to find us, you can go to sdbigs.org. You can also find us on LinkedIn, Big Brothers Big Sisters of San Diego County. And that's, I think, everything I got. It's been a wonderful experience and really appreciate your time, Damien.
Oh, before I let you go, another just concluding question I have based on what you said is, sometimes people might not want to become a big because their whole thing is, it's gonna cost so much for me to do that, to take the kid out and do all of the things. At least here in Chicago, one of the kind of cool collaborations that Big Brothers Big Sister has here is with the United Center. So they're always getting like Bulls tickets and things of that nature. Talk a little bit about some of the resources that you all make available for mentors who engage in your program.
Yeah, great question, Damien. So one of the things, right when you become a big, you'd get what's called a big benefits package. And so that would give you a bunch of discounts to different places, things you could take advantage of, free bike rentals, things like that, just a bunch of things you can do any day. It's all in a nice organized packet. In addition to that, I think last year we did over 50 different outings. So different things. We had Big Brothers Big Sisters night at Petco Park. We gave out free movie tickets, free Gulls tickets. There was a shopping spree that Macy's put on, just different picnics, bunch of things, right? I know there's going to be a beach cleanup soon. There's a Feeding San Diego event. I mean, there's a ton of things that we ultimately put on and give people the ability to do. So I would say at least half of your outings could usually be kind of something Big Brothers Big Sisters puts on and is just really easy to ultimately do. And then the other thing is oftentimes people think they got to do these extravagant things, right? It doesn't need to be like that, right? Oftentimes, me and Jaden were going to the park and shooting around the basketball, which didn't cost us anything. And the other time that we weren't doing that, we'd usually just go to a taco shop, and I'm not even talking waiter taco shop. I'm talking like order at the counter, and you get three tacos for $9. And that's with inflation now. So not too much of a cost on the bigs and littles, and we really do a lot to try to make the experience easy and cost effective.
Y'all stop playing. We got $9. We
Yeah.
can figure out how to pull up to the taco truck and get that 3 for $9. That 3 for $9 special. You can
Yeah.
add a drink for $1 more. We'll round it out to $10. Hey y'all, this has been another amazing segment of Village Talks. I know I'm feeling all of the good vibes and energy, and I know that was even in like communicated and like y'all feel it, right? It's palpable, even through the computer screen or however you're catching this. So, man, just super appreciative for you, Christopher, for joining us here. Appreciative for all of our growing village members for watching this. And we know that there were some insights shared here that's going to help you in your journey of showing up and caring for the young people in your local space. All right. Peace out.